Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Hawks Latest, your number one source for news, updates, rumors, opinions, and you guessed it, the latest and the greatest regarding the Atlanta Hawks. I'm your host, Zach Langley, aka Langley ATL. Today we've got a full set of updates to break down for you. This is the 167th episode of Hawks Latest presented by FanArt, so hopefully you guys have been enjoying the ride. I know I have. We got a lot to break down today, so if you guys could go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe before this video gets started, it would be very much appreciated. It would go a very long way. And a special thanks to Underdog Fantasy for sponsoring today's video. Make picks, win money. You can scan that QR code right there. You should do it. You won't regret it. But yeah, today we've got a packed show because we got some stuff off the court and we've got some stuff to break down on the court. And really, the Hawks do play again tonight. So, I mean, we got to break all that down. But then, yeah, we gotta dial it back in because we don't have too much time to waste. The Hawks are back in action. The most we ever get in between a game is just one day off. We don't ever get the luxury of having 2 days off in between games, to rest up, to heal up, to kind of get these guys adjusted, get these guys practices in. I mean, I think they did have one practice between last game and this game, so maybe they'll be a little more ready because best believe they need a victory. So we'll begin with the news that resonates far beyond basketball. There is some big news when it comes to uniforms. I know you all are going to be very, very happy about that. The Hawks have announced the return of the most meaningful uniforms in their franchise's history. From there, we'll break down the evolving chemistry between Nickeil Alexander-Walker and CJ McCollum. I got to ask Nickeil Alexander-Walker a specific question regarding his pairing with CJ, and it's very interesting. Y'all are definitely going to want to stay tuned for that section. I'm going to break down what he said and what that could potentially mean for the Hawks moving forward, because they are two guards that are both navigating shared offensive responsibilities in a post-Trae Young Atlanta Hawks era. So, and then after that, finally, right before our viewer comment section, we will preview the Hawks' upcoming matchup against the Memphis Grizzlies, which is tonight. It should be a fun one. It's two teams that are looking for a W. Should be a good game. The Grizzlies have a very interesting squad, and so I'm ready to see how we match up against them. It's going to highlight Ja Morant and him coming back and playing some pretty good basketball, and also what Atlanta must do to snap their current losing streak, because, man, they need to snap that fast. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and waste no time and go ahead and jump right into it and start with the Atlanta Hawks bringing back the MLK uniforms next season. This is great news. This is very much like a thing where it's like, okay, we should be going back to winning now. Like, let's bring back the uniforms that we had the last time we were serious threats in the postseason, because while we thought that was going to be this year, I guess it's not going to be this year. Although I don't even want to be too negative on that front, because there is a whole lot of season left. There is plenty of time for Atlanta to make a back half season push for the playoffs. And then once they get into the playoffs, who knows what can happen? I really just want to be out of the play-in, though, and right now it doesn't look like they'll be out of the play-in this year. But next year, this is a good time to bring back this jersey, because yes, they're not bringing back the MLK uniforms this year. They announced it really early, but they announced it that it will come back next season. They will once again wear their Martin Luther King Jr. City Edition uniforms. They were the design that first debuted during the 2020-2021 season, and they immediately transcended the franchise. At the time of their original release, which was as I said, the 2020-21 season, they were the first NBA uniforms to prominently feature the initials of an individual across the chest, because, as you know, as they are, it just says MLK, and then instead of the ATL, it says MLK, and it's a black jersey, and it's like the gold letter, like it's really, like, aside from everything, like, it's clean. Like, it looks really nice. And it's been widely regarded across the NBA as one of the best City Edition jerseys in the league. And so the Hawks have got a lot of respect for it, for the reasons being off the court, and then also, just how they look on the court, because it also comes with a court that looks really nice. It's a good uni-court combo. And so, yeah, these uniforms represent far more than an aesthetic choice. It's a statement of Atlanta's identity and history and, responsibility. And so the timing of this announcement was fitting, because when it was announced that the Hawks would be bringing it back, it was actually a couple days ago, which was Monday, and the Hawks played Monday afternoon because it was MLK Day. And so I was talking to one of my friends before leaving to head out for the game, and he was like, "Are they wearing the MLK uniforms today?" I'm like, "No," but I was like, That honestly should be a thing. Like, I don't understand why they're not wearing them on MLK Day every year. I feel like that would be like a really cool tradition to kind of start. I mean, they have the tradition of playing on MLK Day every year, which was broken last year for whatever reason. But like, if you made it a thing to like be at home and then wear those uniforms every year, I don't know. I think that'd be pretty cool. But I don't know. The Adam Silver in the NBA probably wouldn't allow that because they're not fun. But yeah, so it was the game that the Hawks took on the Milwaukee Bucks, and they almost came back and got a win and snapped their losing streak, but they did not. And so yeah, these jerseys within Hawks fans have kind of taken on a little bit of legendary status because they weren't just the jerseys that they wore during the 2020-2021 season. They won in those jerseys, and they won big in those jerseys. So during that season, during the regular season, Atlanta went 9-1 overall when they were wearing those jerseys in the regular season. So I mean, through 10 regular season games, going 9-1. I mean, clearly there's something there. And they also, in the playoffs, they wore them 4 times during that magical playoff run to the Eastern Conference Finals, and they went 3-1. It was during their unforgettable run to the Eastern Conference Finals. And then also the uniforms themselves, they received the blessing of the late Pope Francis. And so, it just further cemented their cultural and global impact. And many people thought, it was some good luck coming our way because they got the blessing of the Pope. And what's really interesting is that it's going to be like a completely new roster wearing this new uniform. Well, not new, but redid uniform. It's the only person who remains from that 2021 Eastern Conference Finals run team is Onyeka Okongwu. Who would have thought that out of all of the guys on that team that would last and be a part of the core moving forward, it would be Onyeka? I could have never. I would have thought it would have been Trey or Kevin Hurt or John Collins. Like that was a very interesting team. The fact that Trey even brought us to the Eastern Conference Finals that year it's pretty ridiculous because that is quite the roster. But yeah, anyways, the return of these uniforms, it's more than just a nostalgia play. It's a reaffirmation of what this franchise stands for and why Atlanta remains the spiritual home of the NBA's MLK Day tradition. And they should have a game at home every year. They didn't have one last year, but they had one this year, and it produced good results. Atlanta didn't come away with the win, but it was still good to see it back in Atlanta. And so now, moving on from uniform talk, there's only so much we can say really about uniforms. It's a cool thing. It's an awesome thing, but there's so many things going on just like on the court right now and surrounding the organization that kind of overtake some uniform news. Like that was a cool thing to talk about. It's a good positive thing to talk about because like in the midst of a losing streak, fans start to kind of tune out a little bit, and so the Hawks know what they're doing. They're kind of like the Falcons. They know how to like reel people back in. The Falcons are the best at that. It amazes me how the Falcons reel me back in every year. I mean, I've been this past football season, I was like the most out on the Falcons that I've ever been. And then they made all the right moves. They fired Raheem and Terry Fontenot, and then they brought in some cool guys, and they're bringing in new uniforms next year. Like they know exactly what to do. Anyways, this is not Falcons latest. I'm not going to bore you guys talking about the Falcons. Who wants to talk about the Falcons? Not me. Let's talk about Nickeil Alexander-Walker and C.J. McCollum. 2 guards playing, in major offensive roles for the Atlanta Hawks in this season. So when the Hawks traded Trae Young to the Washington Wizards, which was a couple weeks ago now, the move was clearly made, like not thinking about like right now, but thinking about like the long-term future and the long-term financial flexibility and also roster building for the future. By acquiring an expiring contract and salary flexibility, which was the kind of the return for CJ McCollum, Atlanta signaled that immediate contention was not the priority, although they have a roster that's good enough to be competitive in the NBA right now this season, but that was not the priority here, and that's why a lot of fans were kind of upset with the return of what we got. The front office may not have fully anticipated how necessary and how productive like these guys, these new pickups have been. And honestly, like they knew that they were going to be impactful, but it's interesting because they are playing in 2 major roles, but also you had most of your rotation already figured out. So it's been a really odd integration process. And Quinn Snyder's, I don't know if he's been having too much fun with it. Like he, in these post-game interviews, he seems a little bit frustrated. Seems a little, it's this losing streak. I mean, we're adjusting to some new guys. And the thing about the 2 new guys they brought in, neither of them are good defenders. And so when you're you're losing Trae Young, who didn't play a whole lot this season, so it's almost like your defense is getting worse. And, even though you got rid of Trae Young because Trae didn't really play this season. So I don't know. It's very interesting seeing how they're integrating them into this new system. And so McCollum arrived in Atlanta on that expiring $30.6 million contract. And while he may not factor into the franchise's long-term blueprint, or he may end up getting an extension this season or when the offseason hits, but right now, looking at it on the surface, he doesn't have much of a long-term plan with the organization. But that doesn't matter because in his 13th NBA season, he's still very much a high-impact NBA guard. And so he's on our team this year. Like, you can't just sit him the rest of the year. Unfortunately, that's not a thing. He's accustomed, like he's been in the league for 13 years, and every single year he has been in the league, he has seen high usage. He is someone who is going to be a high usage offensive player everywhere he is at. Once he arrived in Atlanta, he was never going to just become, like, suddenly magically become a low touch off ball role player. Like, that was never going to happen. As much as we would probably like for that to happen, as much as Quinn Snyder would probably like for that to happen, that was not going to happen. Instead, it was up to the rest of the Atlanta Hawks to kind of adjust their games and up to Quinn Snyder to integrate him successfully. And so far, that has not been a thing. And so one player that I was very interested to see how he was going to adjust to McCollum's presence was Nickeil Alexander-Walker, because on paper, he was probably going to be impacted most by this shift if you're looking at the season that Nickeil Alexander-Walker has been having, which has been a career year so far. So both of these guys have pretty similar scoring instincts and ball-dominant tendencies. And so when we brought him in, and we knew that he was probably going to play like 25, 30 minutes a night once he got here, I mean, many expected for Na's role to diminish and for Na's numbers to diminish, following the trade. And it's very reasonable for that to assume that. But, that has not happened. And it's a credit to Na for just... I mean, this leap is real. This is who Na is as a player now and going forward. And the Hawks have him on a great deal for the next 4 years, which is incredible GM work. I mean, who would have thought Na would have had the leap that he has been having? But yeah, it's on full display now, and bringing in CJ McCollum hasn't really brought it down at all. He's continued to thrive, even with fewer on-ball opportunities, because it is true he is getting fewer on-ball opportunities. He's not fully commanded to run the offense as guard as he has been really for most of the season. On MLK Day against the Milwaukee Bucks, he nearly carried the Hawks back into the game by himself. That second half performance was absolutely remarkable. He finished that game with 32 points, and 28 of them came in the second half. He went into halftime with 4 points, shooting inefficiently. He knocked down 7 threes in that second half, and 28 in the second half. He also had 6 rebounds, 6 assists, and most of this all just came after halftime, which just shows the resilience and the amount of clutchness this guy has. So after the game, while the vibes were pretty negative, because Atlanta had just suffered their 4th straight loss, I got to talk to Nickeil about some decently positive things and just kind of pick his brain about what he's necessarily seeing in this adjustment period. And so I asked Nickeil directly about the adjustment process between himself and McCollum. And so I said, you and CJ, both being high volume, high scoring guards, how has the adjustment period been learning to play alongside each other's similar offensive skill sets? And so Nickeil, in his response, he acknowledged that chemistry doesn't just happen overnight, but he emphasized how their shared abilities, especially on the offensive end, can complement one another. And so he referenced a specific sequence from the game in his response originally, and he said, I think it's just about reading points of attack and playing off ball with movement. I know in the first half I had drove, he hit me, set a screen, then I got stopped. He peeled off, I hit him, and he was able to drive a closeout and get a layup. He continued on in saying, small things like that, I think the more we use our skill set tools together, I feel like it's going to benefit us. And there were times when it did. It's just about communication and learning. CJ, he's also learning us and what our system is and where he can be effective. He also spoke candidly about the challenge of communicating with a veteran who spent over a decade in the league and like almost a full 6 years in the league, more than Alexander Walker has, because that's a real issue right there. He said, I'm going to try my best to be better at communicating. I think the tough thing about it is being in year 7, him being in year 13, and then he laughed. He was like, I'm not trying to come across as the guy who's talking down to someone that's done this before. Ultimately, Alexander Walker emphasized trust and dialogue as the foundation of progress in terms of building a relationship with a new guy on your team. He said still having that open communication and say, like, trust me, or what do you see here, just getting a feel. So for Atlanta, yeah, the growth of this duo is critical for the success that they're able to have in this season, and honestly moving forward if CJ ends up getting an extension. If the Hawks want to stabilize finalize a season that is seriously trending in the wrong direction, having a lost 4 straight, potentially 5 straight after tonight, McCollum and Alexander Walker must continue building chemistry quickly and lead both on and off the floor. We got to rely on our veterans here, and they certainly are some veterans. Fast breaks, buzzer beaters, and block parties are back, and Underdog is the best place to get in on all of the action. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like points, rebounds, steals, and more. Get your picks right and you can win up to 5,000 times your cash. This week on Underdog, I'm looking at Knicks versus Nets and selecting Michael Porter Jr. for higher than 24.5 points and Karl Anthony Towns for higher than 2.5 assists. Download the app today and use promo code BASKETBALLFAN to score $75 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code BASKETBALLFAN, Underdog. Make picks, win money.
Must be 18 plus. 19 plus in Alabama, Nebraska. 19 plus in Colorado for some games. 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia. And present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/play and get terms DFSTML for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 helpline at 1-878 or text HOMI 467-369.
Guess who's back in action tonight? Our Atlanta Hawks. They don't ever get too much of a rest. Most NBA teams get occasionally, like every now and then, they'll get 2 days off after a game before playing their next one. But that has just simply not been the case for our Atlanta Hawks. And so guess who we got tonight? We got the Memphis Grizzlies. And so this is a bit of a better situation for our Atlanta Hawks because for some reason, these guys cannot play at home. This has been a situation of, for some reason, we just cannot play at State Farm Arena, but we are oddly good on the road. It's not great. I mean, we're 13-12 on the road, but it's better than our home record, which is a lot worse than that. And so for the Memphis Grizzlies, Ja Morant is back and playing at a high level. He has really struggled this season, and so after he came back from injury, he has kind of return to his old self a little bit. He missed 6 consecutive games with a right calf contusion, and he returned Sunday in London against the Orlando Magic and immediately took control of the game and cemented himself as the focal point of their offense once again. He orchestrated and really just led the way from the opening minutes, and he led Memphis to a dominant 33-point second quarter lead. Morant finished that game with 24 points and a season-high 13 assists, marking his first 20-point performance since December 30th. So more importantly, he played with energy and joy that has made him kind of the face of the Grizzlies franchise. It was good to see, but now it's up to Atlanta's guard defenders to stop him, and I think we got some guys that are certainly capable of doing that. Grizzlies head coach praised Morant's impact, and he was saying the energy was contagious. I mean, he did a great job quarterbacking the team and setting up other guys for success early in the game, and it gives the group a ton of confidence to have him back. And so, Sorry, I got a little choked up. Despite recent reports suggesting that Memphis may entertain trade offers for Morant, the star guard reaffirmed his loyalty to Memphis, saying, anybody in here should tell you, anybody here who knows me knows that I'm a very loyal guy. I got a logo on my back, so that should tell you exactly where I want to be. And so, yeah, that's just kind of a test to who Morant as a person and a player. And so they're not letting the outside noise distract them. And so they are focusing right now on picking up some wins, and they were able to in their last game. And so they're riding off a little bit of momentum. And looking on the flip side, the Atlanta Hawks are not playing with a whole lot of momentum. They enter this matchup losing 4 games in a row, and they're looking to snap that win streak on the road. If they're ever going to snap their losing streak, it's going to be on the road because, like I said earlier, they are not good at home for whatever reason. It's not like State Farm Arena is a bad environment, bad arena. No, it's just I don't know why. I really can't tell you. But yeah, on the road, they got a chance to snap this losing streak, and I think they have a decent shot at it tonight. I'm excited to see this game. It's at 8 p.m. Eastern. They're coming off that 112-110 loss to Milwaukee. Alexander Walker's late 3 brought Atlanta within 1, but McCollum couldn't get that clean look at the buzzer. It was a very frustrating final possession, I'm sure you all remember. And so head coach Quinn Snyder defended the decision from CJ late in the game. He said, I really trust CJ with the ball. Thought we got into position where he was going to get one, and then, yeah, he did not get a open look. So, yeah, Atlanta's going to look to turn things around on the road where they have been most consistent this season, and it should be a fun game, so make sure you guys tune in for that after watching this video. So now moving on to our 4th and final section, the viewer comments section. I've loved implementing the viewer comments section, giving you guys a voice, and then also giving me a chance to respond to your comments because I don't get to respond to all of them. I appreciate them a whole lot, and so yeah, this kind of gives me a chance to hear what you guys are saying, some of your bold takes, some of your bold opinions. I love it. So let's go ahead and start with @DavidMaxion2711 said, when will Quinn use the new center? And I strategically picked this one because it could be tonight. Asa Newell is listed as doubtful for tonight because he was with the College Park Skyhawks. He was assigned to the College Park Skyhawks yesterday, and so they are playing a road game. And I don't know. He probably won't end up playing. And also some of the other bigs are hurt. Obviously, we're out without Kristaps Porzingis, and I assume with the new center you're talking about Christian Koloko. If we're gonna ever see Koloko tonight, might be the night. I'm not saying he's gonna get big minutes. Maybe play 10, 15 minutes. I think that would be pretty good. And I mean at this point, I hope Quinn even experiments with the starting lineup a little more. I mean, he did last game. He started Corey Kispert instead of Krejci. I think he should experiment a little bit more. Maybe run Jalen at 3 a little bit more. We talked about that in the last episode. But yeah, I think if there's any game for him to use the new center, it is probably tonight. And so we'll see. I mean, it's still unlikely, but there is a chance. And so moving on, at ATL Hawks 8. And by the way, I'm only responding to 2 today. I know I'm running a little short on time. I know it's been a shorter video than usual, but I have to make it a certain amount of time just today specifically. So I apologize for that. But at ATL Hawks 8 said, with just 4 points and beat in 20 minutes, 0 points, 0 assists, and 0 rebounds. How? You have the exact same thoughts as I do. Vit Krejci has kind of really struggled in recent times, and I hate to see it because you know how much I love Vit. I'm sure you guys are aware of my personal connection to Vit. He gave this channel a shout out on Media Day, and so I'm always rooting for him. And if anyone's gonna break out of a slump, it is him. And players have these slumps. I mean, shit. Excuse my language. Jalen Johnson is in a little bit of a slump. I mean, he kind of broke out of it last game, but he kind of got back, and so yeah, he broke out of it. But yeah, before that, he has been kind of struggling, and so Vit is no different. He is struggling, and so I would expect him for those threes to start falling a little bit. I mean, that super high number of 46% from 3, whatever he was shooting earlier in the season, it wasn't necessarily sustainable. But I don't think he's gonna fall off too much, and I think he'll get it back together. Hopefully tonight against the Memphis Grizzlies. So I appreciate the comment. Yeah, you're exactly right, though. I mean, how? I don't get it either. So that's going to do it for today's episode of Hawks Latest. If you enjoyed today's breakdown, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you miss a single update here on the channel. We're going to be putting out videos every single day, keeping you guys informed on the latest and the greatest regarding the Atlanta Hawks. But let me know down below in the comments, what were your thoughts on the Hawks bringing back the MLK uniforms? What are your thoughts on Nikhil and CJ's growing chemistry? And what are your thoughts on the game tonight? Do you think Atlanta can pick up a much-needed victory against a tough Western Conference opponent? Let me know that all down below. But once again, I'm Zach Langley, aka Langley ATL, and I will see you guys next time.